Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. It is a Monday and it's September 9th. So Mr. Rafa is back from his vacation and he jumped right in on the 59 bus where he left off. So those of you that follow may remember he had most of the side Deluxe trim on. I think he had up to about here. So today he finished installing this side and then put the molding in it. And so that's all done, looking really nice. Again, for those of you that may be new here, the molding we use is from Grumpy's. It's actually much nicer than Wolfsburg West molding, so look at that. Fits the contours really well. Wolfsburg's not as well. And the finish on Grumpy's is also nicer, so that's what we use. So yeah, finished up this side finally, and then he put on the Deluxe molding on the front bumper. Look at that. So pretty. These buses were just amazing. So much trim all over these things. And then the rocker panel trim down here. Wait till this thing has hubcaps on it and everything. It's going to look out of this world. Anyway, so yeah, he worked on those things today. And he also installed the rear bumper. Hasn't got around to putting the trim on it yet, but it's actually mounted up there now. He is, of course, this bus being this bus, he's having to fight with the muffler a little bit as far as the tailpipe coming out and clearing the bumper, because this bus fights us with literally everything. So yeah, he's got a solution that he's working on, so it'll be fine and it'll look good when it's done. But yeah, this bus is a fighter. Those of you that watch our channel regularly know that I always like to joke that this bus is possessed by the devil and or a demon. Anyway, so that was Rafa's day. My day, I started off with the Buggy and decided to go ahead and finish up the shifting on it. Much easier to kind of mess around with the shifter when there's not a body on it, because I actually ended up taking the shift rod out again. I wasn't really happy with how the Delrin bushing up here that comes from Washburn was behaving. So I took it off and clearanced it a little bit where I think it was interfering with some of the sheet metal on the little hanger that it goes in. Just wasn't really happy with how it was sitting in there. So I took it out, modified it a little bit more, put it back in. So again, that's much easier to do when there's not a body on the car. So let me go ahead and get this shifting so I'm happy with it when there's not a body in the way. And then, of course, this thing being a Buggy, it's got an adjustable end of the shift rod back here. And so I had to kind of play around to get the angle of the end here correct so that it shifted right. And pretty much once I got everything dry fit and adjusted the way I like it, then I took it back apart and lubed everything up. I think I mentioned before, this has an old school Impy short shift kit on it. You can see the logo on it there. So I actually talked to the owner about this, and he says from what he remembers, this was always on this Buggy. So I don't know, I think they bought this Buggy pretty shortly after it was built, and I think it already had this on it. So this thing is pretty much as original to this Buggy as it gets. And funny story the owner was telling me was that he got used to driving. He actually learned how to drive a stick shift in this Buggy because they could go out to the desert or whatever, big open areas, and his dad pretty much, I think, threw him the keys and said, hey, go learn how to drive. And so he learned how to drive with this short shift. And then I think he said, and I don't remember if he mentioned what car it was, but the first time he drove another stick shift and it didn't have a short shift in it, he was surprised at how sloppy it was and how far you had to move the lever. But yeah, this thing actually shifts really nice now. Super positive. No play in this thing at all. So that's a combination again of the Delrin bushing here, the old school Impy short shift kit, which again I tried one of their new ones recently, and to me it was not usable. But this old one is really super nice. And then in the back, we're using one of Dave Griner at Proformance's billet couplers back here. So yeah, pretty much everything between the shifter and the transmission are all, basically like solid. So really, really nice shifting on this thing. Very happy with how it came out. Yeah, it took a while to get everything adjusted to my liking, but I feel like it's pretty dialed in now. Of course, we won't know until The car actually has a motor in it. We go through the gears, but it feels like it's going nicely into reverse and everything. So I'm expecting it to be pretty spot on. The other thing I did was I went ahead and got and installed the shocks. So these are Beetle shocks that Wolfsburg West sells. They're proper reproductions of early Beetle, or well, link pin Beetle shocks. So these black ones in the front, and then this kind of, I don't know what color you even call this, burnt orange maybe, color in the back. It's original shock colors. So yeah, I went ahead and put these on. Again, the owner did some research, and from the reading he did, the gas shocks are way too abusive on a Buggy because Buggies weigh nothing. So these Beetle shock reproductions are oil, and they're much less stiff, but they're really nice shocks. We put them on pretty much every restoration we do, and they ride great. So yeah, that's it for the, oh, actually there's one more small thing for the Buggy. I did also put on the front suspension snubbers. Well, I don't know. We'll see about these because I think the owner said that when the Buggy was assembled all the way, that the front suspension pretty much just sat on those, because of course there's no weight here with a Buggy to speak of. So I don't know that we're going to want it sitting on those if the car is just too light to compress the suspension enough, because if it's sitting on those, there's no actual down travel, which is probably not going to make it ride great. So when we get this car together and fully weighted, we'll see. I may actually trim these somehow so that there is some down travel if the car's not heavy enough to, compress the suspension some. So we'll see. We'll play that by ear when the time comes. But anyway, those are in. Other thing I did today was kind of getting back on the cowlick car here, trying to make some progress on it. I went ahead and installed the wiper assembly. You can see it up in there. Looks pretty nice. I had restored it previously, and I went ahead and wired it up. Got the wires all routed in there pretty nicely. So that went in pretty easily. Only thing I had to do was had to pull the headlight switch, which sits about up in here, out of the way, and then get the wiper assembly in, and then reinstall the headlight switch kind of from underneath. There's plenty of room, but it was in the way when I was trying to get this assembly up under there. No big deal. So did that, got it in, got it wired. I went ahead and dug out his pop-outs because I'm gonna disassemble these and send the frames for powder coating, probably like matte, or I'm not sure, maybe matte or satin black. So they'll go with the rest of the cowlick rubber that this car is gonna have on it. I did get the one-piece window kit today from eBay, so you can see the actual window. Oh, maybe you can't see. There you go. So there's the actual window glass here, and the felt channels, and the little metal doodads, and the rubber scrapers. And then I ordered, you have to use a 65 through 68.5 window regulator to use these. So I went ahead and ordered those. I'll have those tomorrow. And yeah, so just starting to collect the rest of the pieces that I need to put these in. And then I did also go ahead and restore the door mechanisms and install those. They seem to be working really nicely. I also went ahead and cleaned up his original door handles. They don't look great. So I don't know, I may go ahead and get a new pair and put them on this car. I would be more inclined to keep these on this car if the ignition key or the keys that he had match these, but that key doesn't seem to work on there. It fits in there like it's the right size and shape key, but it doesn't turn it, and that's true on the driver and passenger side. So again, if those keys match the rest of the car, or excuse me, if these handles match the rest of the car, I'd probably go ahead and put up with their less than stellar chrome, but they don't match anyway, so probably go ahead and replace those. But anyway, yeah, so the door mechanisms are in, the remotes are in, although I may also replace these because their chrome is not great, but it's okay. I spent not much time with some steel wool, and they seem like they might clean up okay. So we'll see. Again, trying to keep the budget from getting too out of control on this one, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think that is it for today, except for Mr. Jacob, who I don't remember if I mentioned this last week. So I'm actually hiring Jacob, or I hired Jacob. So Jacob's first official day was today. So yay, Jacob. And he came in and worked about 3.5 hours. And he is pretty much primarily right now, and I don't have my light with me, but he is primarily wiring his car. So it's probably hard to see here in the dark, but he's got most of the front of the car already wired here, and he's doing a really nice job. He's asking all the right questions and taking his time. And so, yeah, he will be in tomorrow, probably finish up the front of the car, and then maybe move on to the back and do, the tail lights and so on. So yeah, welcome aboard, Jacob. If you see this, glad to have you here. And that is it for today, guys. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.